Finding our seats. At the holiday party the other night, on Thursday night, you should have received a holiday gift card. If you did not, please find your way to finance and pick up that holiday card, okay? Because we spent a lot of time signing all of them. So if you did not get a holiday card last Thursday night at the party, go to finance and pick one up.
All right, good morning, everybody. So I have the distinct pleasure of giving you two of the briefings that kind of elicit a different response. So first one I had active threat, obviously. Now we're going to talk a little bit about emergency response. I'm going to walk around a little bit, mainly because I want to see Beth try and catch that camera and catch me into focus a lot. But that's what we're going to talk about today, emergency response. So first and foremost, we live in Washington State. May 18th, 1980. I was in Yakima. I lived in Terrace Heights, and that's when the Mount St. Helens blew. So some of you probably don't remember that. Some of you probably read about it in grade school, whatever the case may be. But that was a huge event in this state. So with that being said, if you look around where we are currently at, what do we have looming not too far from us right now?
Baker.
Mount Baker. We also have dams. We have a river that periodically floods or annually floods. So what we want to talk a little bit about today is emergency response. Did you know that we have an ERP, emergency response plan? You did. Some do, some don't. Okay? That is actually on the S drive, and Glenn has put a lot of time in it. I've put some time in it. John Bermani actually started it. And that plan kind of outlines some of the things that we have here and some of the issues that we have here. So, first and foremost, our DCG, should something happen, our disaster control group, consists of myself, Mr. Staley, and our 3 senior security coordinators. That would be our newest senior security coordinator, which is Eva Coward, Guy Hansen, and Mickey Berkey. Those individuals would get together, come up with a plan, devise a plan on how we are going to either evac or shelter in place our location. Report that up to Kevin and the rest of the directors, and decisions made on how we're going to do that. So I want to talk to you about a couple of different things here. Some of the most probable to least probable things that we're going to see here are storms. All right, we're going to see a storm. I've talked to this in orientation and some other areas. As you look around campus, if we have a severe wind and rainstorm, what are some of the challenges that present for our campus?
All those trees.
Trees, absolutely. One of the things the Port did when they came in was they were very cognizant of our trees, the ages, and the health of our trees. That's why they've been removing trees. I'm sure you've been asked by students, I've been asked by tons of students, why are you taking down all our trees? The problem is we do get windstorms here. We've been having some pretty heavy winds the last few weeks, right? Well, a tree falling on a kid, one, it's just a bad look. It really is. So we want to make sure that our students are safe. I also briefed in orientation that we sometimes may close the tree farm that's out here right in front of the dormitories. If it gets too windy, we will close that down, we will cone it off, however that goes, to make sure that our students don't go out there and hang out and a tree limb comes down hitting. Okay, so storms. So trees down, loss of power could come from that. Roads blocked, bridges blocked. Those types of things happen when we have storms around here. So flooding, with the Skagit River flood. So, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how and why it would flood here in a second, but flooding here. If we get flooding, we are somewhat safe here, depending on which river floods. If the Skagit River floods normally just through normal rain and slow melt, we're probably not going to be impacted here. Hanson Creek may flood a little bit, but if you've ever actually gone back and looked, it would take quite a bit to get it over its bank before it would actually be up in this area. So, not necessarily an issue. Here's where it becomes an issue. So in the Skagit Valley Emergency Management Plan, and yes, I read it because that's what I do in my free time, if Mount Baker were to blow, the most probable course of action is Upper Baker Dam would collapse. That would collapse, and that would leave 10 minutes, and within 10 minutes of it collapsing, the Lower Baker River will collapse. Lower Baker River Dam will flood, break. Jesus,
Breathe, Mike, breathe.
So as it breaks, that large amount of water would start getting pushed down the valley. Anybody have any idea how long it would take that amount of water to get to here?
Minutes.
5 minutes.
12 hours.
Oh.
Right? And here's why. So Skagit Valley had an inundation study done by the Army Corps of Engineers. It would be pushing over 400,000 cubic feet of water per second, and it would take 12 hours. Now, if you think of the geography of the valley, as it flows, or as that river starts to blow its banks in the upper river, what do you have? You have some farmland, you have some flat areas up there as well. It doesn't necessarily channel it into a funnel, which gets down here in like 3.6 seconds and we're all swimming. And we're reliving Aquaman. That's not what it does.
Oh, if only.
It will actually blow and blow in 12 hours to get down here. So that's one course of action that could happen when Baker decides to erupt. Now, if Mount Baker decides to erupt, the ash flow is the other part, the lahar. The lahar will actually be the one that actually collapses the dam. So if Mount Baker was to erupt and that ash plume starts to come down, as it did in Yakima, we could see anywhere from 3 inches to a foot of ash. Was anybody in Yakima when that happened? When St. Helens blew? Okay. One of the first things they came with the emergency broadcast system, do not drive in the ash. Gets into your air cleaners of your cars, and your cars broke down. And quite literally, for days and weeks after, there were just tons of cars lining the roadway, people that didn't listen because it blew their motors. So, that is another option. But it's not just Mount Baker. The more active one that we have in North Cascades is, drum roll please, Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak has historically been a more violent eruption than Mount Baker. So, that is also something to think about. All right? If Ross Dam, the interesting thing with Ross Dam, if you look at what that would do, it would actually be here a little bit quicker, about 9 hours, because the cubic feet of water, that's almost 1.2 million cubic feet per second of water that would come down, and it's about 8 to 9 hours by the time it gets down here. So what is that water going to look like? Cedar Woolley, the water will rise approximately 16 to 20 feet. So that means we're going to get our feet wet. But we got 12 hours to prep for it. Okay? So if it does blow, here are some things to keep in mind as we talk about evacuating our area here. On any given day, if we were to decide to evac everybody here with our vehicles that we have, and that's all of our government vehicles, etc., and that's not taking into account that people will be throwing students and whatnot into personal vehicles just to get them out of here safe-wise, we could take all of our students out of here and probably do it, and should be able to do it within about 10 to 15 minutes. We have 12 hours. 12 hours to figure that out. Glenn and I are talking about having an emergency evac drill, a large-scale one for like a major accident or environmental response exercise, and what that's going to look like. What that is most likely needs to look like for the students is they need to prepare a one-day bag. A change of clothes, something to brush their fangs, pair of dry socks, pair of, tighty-whities or whatever they're going to do. Throw that in the bag and be prepared to go. If we need to do an evac, have that on standby. What we're going to get, that's the best case example. What we're going to get is, I need my TV. And they're going to leave it in the file. I need my video game system. They're going to leave it in the file. Now, this is real world. This is not an exercise. All right? Exercise, we're still not going to take it. but we're not going to tell them, throw the dirt, get on the van, go. So that exercise, and like I said, Glenn and I are working that right now, we are going to do from start to finish and work that with our students. The other thing that could change the entire course of this is landslides. As you drive up Highway 20, large-scale landslides based on earthquakes from the volcano or whatever that looks like changes the course of the water flow dramatically. Quite dramatically. A large-scale landslide at the right area, at the right time, as that water is pushing down, changes 12 hours to less than an hour. Something to be cognizant. So how do we get this to our students? How do we look at our students and say, okay, guess what? We don't know when the volcano is going to blow. We think it's going to blow. I think Nadia took pictures of steam plume last year, wasn't it? Yep. Mount Baker is an active volcano. Everybody knows it. Glacier Peak still produces steam every once in a while. Is it going to happen tomorrow? Probably not. But no one can say for certain. So we have to prepare for it. And in any emergency response, we have to prepare for that. What's another thing that could possibly drive us into an emergency response scenario around here? Earthquake. Sure. Look what happened up in Alaska. I have a lot of friends up in Alaska right now. They're still getting 5.0 tremors daily. So they're still shaking and baking up there. And we're due, the west coast of the left coast, west coast, whatever you want to call it, is definitely due for a large-scale earthquake. And we have one of the largest fault lines around, the San Juan fault line. So that's something to be prepared for. The tsunami. If we had a tsunami, what would that look like? So the tsunami that hit Bangkok, and if you've seen, not Bangkok, Thailand after the big earthquake in Indonesia and all that, something like that here would go inland, so all the way up to possibly Marble Mountain. Possibly Marble Mountain. The one that hit Japan and washed over Japan. Marble Mountain, and possibly even further. How do we prepare for that? Where do we go? What is the immediate high ground here? It would be the cistern up there, absolutely. But again, you're only talking 200 or 202 feet, something like that. So it's not high. So then the question becomes, so we get all of our students up there, all right, so how do we feed them? How are we going to get them fresh water? Because I don't know if you've seen the cistern, not fresh water. How are we going to clothe them? Where are they going to bed down at night? How are we going to keep them warm? How are we going to get them up there? Because, it's a steep road. So these are the things that your DCG, along with the directors and everybody, we're putting all that together to try and figure out what that looks like and how we're going to do it. And our exercise may be, depending on what we decide to do, all right, we're going to march all our students up to the top of the cistern, we're going to take it to stopwatch and see how long it takes to get there. It's kind of like active threat. Unfortunately, not everybody, the goal is everybody makes it in that scenario, in any disaster scenario. The reality is, some may not. So that's why planning ahead and doing proper planning and get it drilled in to make sure everybody knows what the plan is the key. So, let's talk a little bit. How much food do we have in the cafeteria that to sustain us should no more transports come today? Anybody know? 4 days. Okay. About 2 days, maybe 3. Okay, and that's the student population. That does not take into account all of you. Now, I'm not saying let's eat grandma or let's eat, grandma. What I'm saying is we have to take all that into account. All right? So, if we start losing bridges, and the bridges on Skagit go down, the bridge on Highway 9 goes down, what about the trestle going up I-5 up to Bellingham? Possibly. Possibly. Where do you think we're at in the flow of things to get food? Probably not near the top. So what do?
lot of deer.
That's true.
I